Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Shagalinku TV. It's a special episode today because we're having in the house my people. Okay, so the Men Engaged team, they are here to talk about something very important. So we're looking at social media. A lot of people have also said that social media um, is a curse, so to say, maybe because of the abuse, maybe because of how people do things. So someone just has 50 naira recharge card or data on their phone, and they can hide under their keypad and talk rubbish to people and all of that. But we're also forgetting that there's a very important aspect or platform that the social media has given for people to interact, for people to use it as a tool for advocacy, especially when it comes to issues of human rights, sexual reproductive health and rights as well, even women's rights, issues that affect human beings. A lot of times people have talked about gender-based violence, and I've said maybe it's more prevalent now. But others have argued that no, it's the same. It's just that social media, the new media, which is also called, is giving people platforms to speak up and to talk about issues that affect them. Anyway, I have two very wonderful people today, and they'll be talking about this issue for us. And our topic is using social media to advocate for improved access to gender equality and sexual reproductive health and rights, information, education, and communication for all in Nigeria. It's quite a long topic. And this episode is also supported by Sonke Gender Justice and Men Engaged Nigeria. I'll bring in my two guests. They will quickly introduce themselves and then we'll start off the show. Let me start with the lady. So, Uche, be a gentleman. Let me start with the lady. Hi, Evelyn. Welcome to Shagalinku. It's been a while. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Mr. Gambari. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. It's always a pleasure to be on your platform. Very engaging. Thank you so much for always giving us your platform to advocate and speak on issues that are very, very vital to us. My name is Evelyn Chioma Joseph. I'm the Program Manager, Society for the Improvement of Rural People, and also the National Coordinator, Men Engaged Nigeria. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Welcome on board. Yeah, thank you so much. I'll come to Uche. Uche, can you kindly introduce yourself? Let us know which organization you represent, and then we'll take up the discussions from there. Hello, Uche. Okay, we'll come back to Uche, but let me also bring in Evelyn to talk a little more about the topic of discussion. So, um, social media, whether we like it or not, is also saying two ways. They say it's a two-edged sword. I remember a time the National House of Assembly was also going to ban, in quotes, the usage because they found that people were using it and abusing the use actually. Let's even start with social media. Do you think it's a blessing? Do you think it's a curse?
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Bringing back that memory when the federal government tried to ban the use of social media, especially Twitter. We know how difficult it was for us that work in civil spaces because of the benefits and the engagements that we usually use this platform for. So, and I believe and I know that social media has been a blessing, although quiet, we know that things that have the good side also have a bad side. But we know there are a lot of benefits in the social media. For us that usually uses it for advocacy and enlightenment and education, it has been very, very helpful too, where we can reach out to our audience, our targeted audience, spread out the information and the message. Just like today that we are talking about what so far we've been using social media to do in terms of advocating for the improved access to sexual and reproductive health rights and gender equality. that has helped us a lot, reaching far audience, especially young people. You know, as our network Men Engage Nigeria, we also have youth network, and our youth network has been empowered to use this platform as well to reach out to their peers, you know, speak to them on sexual reproductive health rights, issues surrounding sexual rights, reproductive health, sexual and reproduction, and all the components when we talk about sexual reproductive health, are the four components which we talk about: the sexual health, the reproductive rights, and the sexual rights. These are the four components of sexual reproductive health rights that we have been focusing on. And we have been using the social media effectively, utilizing Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, name all the platforms. It has been very, very helpful, and it has been a blessing for us. Permit me to also say that during the COVID-19, it was such a blessing for us because we all know the lockdown kept us indoors. So social media was the platform we have at that time to reach out to our audience. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. So this is also to say that if you're watching right now, do share the video. We're live on YouTube, on Facebook, all on Shagalenko TV. And you can also drop your message in the comment section, either for yourself or for our guest, and just to let you know. I'll quickly read these messages and I will bring in Uche. I hope his network is okay by now. Chukwebuka Ibezim says, good afternoon. This is Chukwebuka Ibezim. I look forward to an insightful session. Thank you so much. Madam Evelyn, if you can see this one from Uche Courage, do quickly read and then we'll bring Uche.
Okay. I'm seeing, trying to, Uche Courage says, greetings everyone. Looking forward to learn more. You're welcome, Uche.
Okay. And then this one here from Adibeli Adesoa Chidemai says, hi, good to be here. So thank you so much, everyone. Keep your messages coming. If you have contributions or comments about the topic we're looking at, how we can use social media, you know, to advocate for improved access to gender equality and SRHR, do let us know. I'll bring in Uche now. Uche, can you hear us now?
Yes. Can you hear me too?
Okay, yes, I can hear you. So quickly, I'd like you to tell us who Uche is. And the first question I also asked Evelyn is social media a blessing or a curse? Which of the divide do you stand?
Okay, thank you, everybody. Good afternoon, colleagues. Thank you, Shagalinko TV, for having me here. My name is Uche Brown. I'm a digital communications specialist. I work with Empowering Women for Excellence Initiative as the Senior Program Officer Communication. And I'm also a member representing Northwest Nigeria in the Men Engage Nigerian Steering Committee. I'm somebody, for once, I'm very passionate about things that have to do with the youth, especially our youth engagement, passionate people, people that drive, people that push me towards doing one or two things. So to your question that you asked, social media, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. And it's a blessing because many things are happening there. Many positive things are happening there. We know I was in a particular gathering where a digital analyst talked about the fact that social media is it's the new gold. It's left for people to tap in the opportunities that are abound in social media. And I'll just talk about some of the things we do using social media. We try to engage people, try to bring lots of information, because if you look around you now, you notice that we have many misinformation. People are being misinformed about what is happening. Let me take, for instance, 3 days ago, I believe Ambassador, you are in Kano, when they declare the NNPP candidate, the Supreme Court gave the ruling that he he can be back as the governor of Kano. I think somebody just shared something and said on social media, this boy just came out and said, something is happening, everybody should come out and do this. And people started wondering, people started making call. So what we just did was, I just spoke to somebody and the person went there and counter him that this thing you are saying wants to happen in Kano is not actually true. So instead, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to use this social media to tell people, give them the right information. Don't misinform people. And I realized that the fact that he doesn't even have data on his phone, and because there is opportunity for him to use free Facebook, he just used it and then start talking everything. Now, over the time in our work, we've used social media to do social media campaigns. For instance, I remember when we did a particular campaign, Talk the Talk. The Talk the Talk social media campaign is aimed at breaking all these myths and stereotypes about gender equality. For instance, what we did, the strategy we used then was we carried out an audit, and this audit was bringing the young people together, try to know which of the platform is convenient for them. Now, if you look at the statistics we have now, we have more of the young people using social media now. That's especially the Gen Zs. And somebody said something that you cannot advocate for something that has to do with the young people, young generation, without carrying them along. So we try to bring these people along using cartoon effects. We had two images, these two cartoon people. One will come and talk about, okay, that something happened to a man. Is the man supposed to cry? Things like boys are not supposed to cry. Girls are the ones that are supposed to cry. Boys are not supposed to wash plates. Girls are the ones that are supposed to wash plates. So all these things, we use social media engagement to speak to the audience, telling them that all these things are stereotypes. These are human rights issues, and many of you. Now, let me even just bring to your attention, for instance, now the NSAS issue that happened in 2022, the Lekki toll gate shooting. We know what happened. Nobody was taking responsibility. Thank God for that celebrity, DJ Switch. It was her Instagram live that was able to give the entire world what was actually happening, because they were saying all the whole videos that were coming out about NSAS, that it was all doctored video. So it was that Instagram live that actually portrayed the rating about this human rights issue that young people are being shot at. So I'll say social media has been a blessing and not actually a curse. It depends on what you are doing there as a young person. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Uche. Just to also say that we can all join, share the video. It's live on Facebook, Shagalinku TV Facebook page, and Shagalinku TV YouTube page. If you have a comment, please drop it in the comment section and we'll read them just as we've been reading previous ones. I'll bring Madam Evelyn to talk with us, but let me quickly read this one from Dennis. And it says, yes, social media is a double-edged sword. It has to be used with utmost sense of responsibility. I totally agree with you. It has to be used with utmost caution and responsibility. Lady Evelyn, we've had instances of gender-based violence. People have said, like I said in the opening, that people have said that the gender-based violence issues and victimizations are on the increase. But others have said no, it is because social media has given a platform where people can sit from the comfort of their homes, even with pseudonyms and neutral names, and be able to report or talk about issues that affect them. Now, how can we also leverage on this, for NGO people, civil society, women particularly, how can we leverage on this to advocate for more sexual reproductive health and rights? Take, for instance, the issue of commodity. Some zones or some regions, it's still a taboo for a woman to walk into a hospital and demand family planning. It's as bad as some regions will tell the woman that she has to come with her husband or get the consent of her husband, forgetting that the woman has her body autonomy. How can such women leverage on using social media platforms? And how can even organizations or activists leverage on this to also help build the morale of women to come out and seek for some of these services?
Okay, thank you so much, Ambassador. Yeah, I can agree with you that issues of gender-based violence has been there, it has been on the increase. Maybe social media has kind of given us an insight of actually what is happening. People can freely now report, like you said, people can use personal name to kind of talk about what is happening, even if it's your neighbor. We know of the issue of the lawyer that was manhandling or battering the wife in New York. It was even the neighbors that was making video of what is happening. Social media can, has given us the insight of actually what is happening in some homes and, in the secrets that maybe people are not even empowered to speak about. You can find out that someone somewhere is is a voice to someone. So, talking about people or women not being able to assert their reproductive rights, in some region. Yeah, I know we still have more and much to do. We have also achieved a lot, in the past, because before now, that even in social media, women cannot even talk about bodily autonomy, talking about family planning, talking about, the rights to be able to decide on the number of children. These are issues that you don't even discuss. You don't even bring it at the table. But right now, because of advocacy, because of information and education, there's been a shift, and that shift is what we are pushing further to make sure that women, girls, are empowered to be able to make these choices for themselves. The other time we were talking about the issue of, a woman deciding either she wants to give birth to her child through cesarean section, either because of one medical condition or advice from the doctor or not. You know, right now we saw that a lot of women were like, yeah, actually I can make that decision. But in the past it was a problem because you have to seek the consent of your husband. So if your husband disagrees that you are not going in for cesarean section, you are not going, no one is signing for you, and that might jeopardize the life of that woman and the child. But right now, a lot have changed. And likewise, I believe that that shift that we are actually clamoring for will still get it. That's why we are also trying to bring a lot of civil society in the space to, project this voice, project this information, this message that we're all talking about. Because when we are talking about reproductive health rights, we are not only talking about the rights of women or health rights of women. We are talking about the health rights of men, boys, women, and girls. So it is something that is very, very important. That is not only the issue of women; it's the issue for all, and that is why using social media has also helped because it's we've seen the statistics of survivors of gender-based violence or cases of gender-based violence, and that has helped in terms of raising number of sexual assault referral centers in the states to 30. I think right now we have 30 SAC centers across Nigeria, and we still have some states that have not have the SACs in their states. And we know that we are not sleeping. We are pushing further to make sure that each state have more than one SAC, sexual assault referral centers, and uh, many more to come. So that is what I have to say about
Okay, thank you so much. I'll still come back to you, Lady Evelyn, but let me quickly read a few messages here. I need to come back to you before I'll also ask Uche this. What are some of the things Men Engage is doing, and also Society for the Improvement of Rural People is also doing? Maybe using social media as well, and how it's bringing everyone together for synergy. But let me quickly read some of the messages here. You can also be part of the show. Drop your messages or your comments in the comment section and we'll read them. If you have questions for our guests, Evelyn and Uche, also drop for them and they will respond. Babatunde or Moshebi says, great job and glad and good to be here. We got this one from Oji Gloria Chiamaka. It says, good day, everyone. Good to be here. And we have this one from Ogene Obodo Neke. It says, awesome session. Thank you so much. I think we read this one before from Inaya Ovoke Peter. It says, social media is a blessing, but needs to be regulated. And so keep your messages on, keep them on. If you have questions for our guests, do send it and we'll read them. Also, you can share the videos right now for others to join. And then let me come back to Evelyn before I talk with Uche. So what are some of the things Men Engage has been doing, and how can they also reach out for maybe contributions if there are ideas they want to also, because people think the fight against gender-based violence and then the fight for advocacy of human rights and sexual reproductive health and rights are just for NGOs. You go to spaces, you hear now be NGO or now be government. And then I say, no, this is a community thing. Everyone, all hands have to be on deck. It's like when you go to villages and you see women who are pregnant, they are almost going to deliver, and you ask them, Madam, you don't register for antenatal, and it will shock you to hear them tell you, I don't born 3 before, so nothing there inside. My grandmama born for house, my mama born for house. So it's also, how do we also begin to make citizens responsible enough to be held accountable for issues concerning human rights and sexual reproductive health and rights?
Okay, thank you so much. Before I go further, I want to acknowledge the presence of our chairperson, Men Engage Nigeria, Mr. Babatunde Omoshebi. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. Okay, sir. Yes, actually, what you said is truth. Um, People believe that speaking or advocating for the rights, sexual reproductive health rights, or gender equality is the work of NGOs. But no, right now we've seen there's a lot of change, a lot of change. We've seen so many advocates, using the different platforms to advocate for the rights of women and girls, and also men. We see the likes of Aproko Doctor. We know what he's doing, using his platform to talk about sexual reproductive health rights. There are informations that ordinarily you wouldn't have even gotten, or even at the level of education that you've gotten, you might not even know these are the right information about your health. But using his platform for free, you'll be able to get this information about family planning, about issues around your health checks, and all that, and general body lifestyle and living and well-being. So I think most of the work we've done in the past, and right now we're still doing, and that have helped us to create more impact and change some narratives is the issue of education. We've been using social media platforms to educate, especially the youths and the general populations on the issue around engaging men and boys to end gender-based violence, and also creating campaigns, celebrating the international days. We kind of have programs around the international. If it's 16 days of activism, we ensure that we have programs to educate the audience throughout the days of the 16 days of activism. Then also for International Women's Day, Youth Day. So all these international days, we have programs, educational programs and information for our audience. So we also have virtual trainings, webinars that we've also used to kind of inform the general public of the updated information around the issue of gender-based violence, sexual and reproductive health rights, or gender transformative approaches to ending issues around gender-based violence, or improving access to sexual reproductive health rights by engaging men and boys. So we've been doing quite a lot in terms of providing education, providing information, and changing the narratives and stereotypes, and also making sure that issues around uh, social norms in terms of um, uh, maybe talking about male preference or gender roles in the family, in the community. We try to break that by education. And that education is not only focused for women and girls. We are now bringing men on board because we've seen that men are critical stakeholders. For us to really achieve success of what we want, we really need to bring men on board. And that is what Men Engage Nigeria is actually doing, breaking that barrier and ensuring that we we men and boys, women and girls are on the same stage, on the same space to provide information and to be knowledgeable, to unlearn some of the things that we've learned in the past and think these are the best way to do it. Just like Mr. Uche talked about gender roles, men saying it's not a man's duty to cook, it's a woman's duty to cook. But right now we see that a lot of narratives have changed, and that is actually what we are using the platform in terms of training, webinars, and educational campaigns to provide.
Thank you so much, Lady Evelyn. So I will come to Uche, and this is also to say that please do drop your messages here, and do let us also know where you're watching us from, whether in Lagos, in Abuja, in Kano. Would appreciate if you let us know where you're watching us from, and then you also drop your comments. We're looking at a whole lot today using social media for advocacy, for improved dialogues, for gender issues, particularly for sexual reproductive health and rights. But let me bring Uche in, and then let's talk about a little more about what men can do, in using some of these platforms. Because, okay, Uche is gone off. Uche, please do come back, and then let's bring you back and talk about these issues. So in the interim, I'll just read this message, and then maybe I'll come back to Lady Evelyn and ask her this question. If Uche comes back, then he can also respond. This is from Ugoma Brown Egbe. It says, I'm watching from Kaduna, Nigeria. Thank you so much. Please do let us know where you're watching from as you also drop your comments. Today we're having a whole lot so that we can, talk about these issues. People use social media sometimes for the very wrong reasons. And I've seen people say things like, oh, Nami buy data, concern anybody how I use them. I think someone wrote something here that I wanted both Evelyn and Uche to respond to. But since just Lady Evelyn is here, I will ask her to read this and then respond. Someone raised a beautiful point. Please, Lady Evelyn, can you read this from Ugoma and then respond to it?
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Ugoma. She said, social media is beautiful, but the cyberbullying should be curtailed. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, it's actually part of what I skipped saying the last time I talked about what actually we've been doing over time. Yeah, also talking about cyberbullying and cyber violence is part of what actually we are also doing, especially with the youth network. Part of we've kind of provided an empowerment training on sexual harassment and sexuality education for the youth. So I think cyberbullying is something that I think many of us have not come to realize that it is something that can affect people mentally and can cause someone to, even start thinking about suicide. So it is something that is very, very serious. I think we also have cyber violence, and we need to also bring more campaign around that to tell people like, because you have your data and you have your phone and your system, you can be able to talk to someone the way you want. Sometimes you don't know actually what people are going through. So that is why even social media platforms are beginning to put a lot of regulations, highlighting, some keywords that when you talk about this issue, when you say something about these keywords being used in your sentence, your message will be flagged. And these are ways to kind of regulate and check those kind of cyberbullying, cyber violence. So it is something that is very, very key. And then I think that we still need to, provide much more advocacy and campaign around that, especially for the Gen Zs. They really need to be educated on these issues. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I think Uche is back. So I'll just also let Uche. So Uche, we were looking at some of the things before you went off. what do you think about the issue of cyberbullying? But I was also going to ask you the role that men play when it comes to issues like this, because hearing Lady Evelyn talk before, she was telling us also that when they talk about gender-based violence, people just look at it only from the angle of maybe women being the victims or survivors. But we're also forgetting the place where men are also actually victims as well. Gender-based violence being meted out on them by women, strangely, but many of them don't talk about it. I've been in spaces where I say men also suffer gender-based violence, and a woman just stood up boldly and was telling me, but the percentage is so minute and so small now, it's really nothing. I said, madam, because the percentage is not 100 doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. And these are the issues we are trying to tackle, because what affects one person affects everyone. That just one person or 1% that you think, oh, these are the minute and these are men that they don't need to talk. Those ones could go and replicate and become perpetrators of more gender-based violence, and it becomes a circle. So what's the role men can do also using social media? Because someone just talked about cyberbullying, and a lot of men cyberbully women a lot. So what can we do differently?
Okay, thank you very much, Ambassador. Apologies, my network just keeps fluctuating. I hope you can hear me, sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay, yes, one of the things we can actually do as regards this issue of cyberbullying is calling out these people that do this thing, calling them out. I remembered I once used one of my platform. I even spoke about it, like you see people coming in the name of skits, that they are doing skits. A guy stopped a lady one day and he tapped the lady at her bum bum, and he was telling her, it's a prank, it's this. So I think when we are there, we see things like this. We need to start calling out these people that do this, hold these people that do these things, hold them accountable. Hold them accountable, call them out, let them know that what you are actually doing is actually violating the right of this person, because this woman is actually a human being like yourself. So bringing up content and telling people that, it's a prank, I want to do skit, I want to do this. There was this one I even saw, the guy just came out, they would just come and drop him on the road like a dead body, then he will stand up and bring out stick and start pursuing people. I've called that guy out, time without number. There was a day one even DM me, say, bros, no, they take this thing personal. Now your fellow man, he won't eat, he won't do this. Yes, you want to eat, you want to do this. Can't you do it in a way that you will not hamper or abuse the right or cause emotional damage on somebody? Now carrying that stick and pursuing that lady almost injured herself. Only God knows what happened. So we calling these people out and doing things that has to be, and doing things that will not violate human rights is also another way. Then another way we can, men and boys can also support in doing this thing is actually rallying around survivors. We know what is happening in our cyberspace today. As a man, I know I've lent my voice. When issues of GBV comes up, you don't cover up for somebody. There's this thing boys they use. They will tell you bro code. Man, you are my bro. There's nothing like bro code. When you violate the rights, you violate somebody's human rights, I will call you out. I will call you out and I will point out to it that you need to be accountable for this. There's nothing like bro code, respect your bro, nana, like man like yourself. You know, go fit cover up for man like yourself. It is this covering up that has caused more problem. That's what makes this case of GBV that has been going up. Okay, let me give an example. For instance, we all know Osinachi, that musician that died. That thing did not just happen. It takes another man to call out the husband and hold him accountable. A man had to report and say, see, you are a pastor, you are this, you are not supposed to be doing that. And then talking about cyberspace, you and I believe that me here, you here, and even Lady Evelyn here, we cannot be here if we are not enlightened. I know one of the issues we're having in not just Nigeria, our continent generally, is an issue of enlightenment. Issue of enlightenment, issue of mindset. I think nobody should say, I am bigger than training. Anytime an opportunity presents itself to training on cybersecurity, I think it's something all NGOs need to adhere to. They need to embrace it. Cybersecurity, we all need lots of learning, lots of unlearning, lots of relearning. Then for you that you are a cyber security user, there are some things, some key things you need to do, like your two-step verification. Have you done your two-step verification? Two-step verification is like putting extra security on all your accounts to ensure that these cyber thieves and the rest of them don't have access to your data. You are using Google Drive. Do you have two-step verification on your Facebook account? Do you have two-step verification? And then doing this training, when you are doing trainings like this, I think when you start talking about, okay, there's one statistics I see, we know what is happening. We know that majority of the perpetrators of violence against women and girls are men. Yes, no doubt about it. I was in a training where they say you can use what they call the cat and fish approach. What is the cat and fish approach? We know that cat loves fish very well. So we now know that men and boys, okay, they are majority of them are the perpetrators of this GBV. Okay, involve them in profiling solution. Bring them, and even when designing your projects, mind the use of language. You know, you cannot be telling men and boys that I gather you people here to tell you people about GBV, and you are telling them that they are the perpetrators. I think when doing this design, you check your use of language, carry them along, tell them that you people are this thing. Okay, let me give you one example. Now, there was one of our projects we did, our Safe Spaces project that provides support for women and girls as survivors of GBV, different forms of exploitation and abuse, internally displaced women in Kaduna State. We had that project in 2 communities. So when we were holding that project, we noticed that there was this backlash. And where was this backlash coming from these women? They are already survivors and they are beneficiaries of this project. We now notice that this backlash keep coming from the men and boys in their life, their boyfriends, their brothers, their uncles, their fathers, their spouses. So we now designed another thing for the project where we had a seminar for the men and boys, like a focus group discussion without the women there. We now told them that, we heard that there is GBV in your community. Who are the people doing these things? We want to know. Having it at the back of our mind, we know that, okay, it is actually the men and boys that are doing this. So we are now putting it to the community men and boys. Who are the ones doing this? They say, it is some men, it is some boys, so this. We now said, okay, we want all of you here now to take a stand. Let's work together. Let's support our sisters. Let's support our wives. Let's support our girlfriends. Let's support our daughters, our nieces. Let's support them. So what are we going to do? We now make them key stakeholders. We now tell them that if anything happens in this community, you people should be the first person to talk, thereby breaking this culture of silence. So you see, most of the reports we've been getting through our GBV toll-free helpline, majority of them are men reporting. You see a man calling, see, my neighbor is beating his wife, or what should I do? And then like that. So involving men and boys, watching the use of language, seeing them as stakeholders, not necessarily as perpetrators. Stop using that word on them when you are doing it. We know these things happen. Giving them training for cyber security, ensure you put all the necessary security things in place. Always do that, regulate it, and I think we'll have a better society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uche. I'll come back to Lady Evelyn as we wrap up, but this is, someone sent a message here, even though we've answered it. It's from Chukwe. It says, what can be done to reduce tribal cyber wars, especially in the Nigerian online space? It's much recently and very sickening. Is there even anything that can be done to reduce it at all? Of course. And you did hashtag mental health. And just to add to also what Uche said, you can actually report. So you can also get a few of your friends and colleagues and report such pages or such persons who did or does any of that, and they could actually, their pages could be pulled down, and such people could be even yanked off, even as minute as someone being bigotry when it comes to either political connotations, tribal connotations. Just on a comment section, if you flag that, the person can actually be blocked or even yanked off from using that platform for a long time to come. I'll take a few more messages and then I'll bring in Lady Evelyn to wrap up, since we need to be winding down soon. Please, if you have questions or comments or of your opinions, do drop them in the comment section and we'll read them and then find a way for our guests to respond. This is from Bolahon, and it says, watching from Meduguri, Borno State. Thank you so much. Imelda Ujelo Carlos says, watching from Enugu. Thank you. I think I read this before. Oji Gloria Chamaka says, I'm watching from Port Harcourt. Thank you so much. I'll bring Lady Evelyn just to so we can read this message from we'll read this message from Babatunde, and then we can respond. So, Lady Evelyn, if you can see this from Babatunde, please do read and let's respond to it. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Babatunde said, this is a great discourse. Social media or all cyber issues need to be controlled. All social media platforms have flags for offensive issues. Yeah. Thank you so much, Babatunde. So,
Okay.
Mr. Gambari, need me to respond to this?
I think it's just a comment. I thought it was a question. So, but he's even also replied that they need to be controlled. Also, like I said before, yes, you can flag off pages, even as little as the comment section. So it's not, a lot of people know that they could be flagged or removed. So they go to people's comments and do all the bigotries they can. But if you highlight such comments, it can actually be flagged. Evelyn, I'll come to you to wrap up, but let me quickly read a few messages that are here. This is from Yopeda, and it says, impressive discussions and well done. And Yopeda also says, watching from Abuja. Thank you so much. Babatunde, a third time around, said, watching from Lagos. Okay. So, Lady Evelyn, as we wrap up, what's the way forward? What are your last words of advice coming from you, from society for the improvement of rural people, and then lastly from Men Engaged?
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. So I'll just put it in a summary, coming from Evelyn representing these organizations you just mentioned. Yes, I think just to wrap it up is to put into cognizance some of the issues that was raised from this our discussions, especially the issues of cyber violence and cyberbullying and every other issues that we are raised. And also, just to also highlight more that social media has a lot of benefits, a lot of benefits, and because we've seen from our advocacy, from our sensitization, education, and trainings, we've seen that a lot can be enhanced using social media. So we should also be looking at the positive sides of using social media. A lot of informations, educations, which ordinarily you can't even get for free. Like Coursera, you have a lot of free courses there where you can also improve on your knowledge. And also, highlighting on what you just said about flagging some comments, some individuals, and offensive communication or comments in using social media. Yeah, we also need to put more effort in terms of sensitizing the general public. These are the features that you can use, and we should not just overlook issues. Just like Mr. Uche said, he said we should not see things and just say it doesn't concern me. Okay, I don't like it, and I don't want to look at it. No, we should be taking responsibility in terms of protecting others as well. If you are more knowledgeable about these issues on how to report these pages, report individual, don't just keep silent, don't overlook. We need to do something. See something, say something. I think that should be a slogan that we should, use more this year. Mr. Chukwuneka said something, which is something that is very worrisome. It's just like the issues of gender-based violence, where you are thinking you are handling this issue and we are having a decrease in this area, you find out that another issue is springing forth. He talked about the issue about tribal violence or tribal war, something like that. And it is an issue now. And I think CSOs will need to look into it because we are always the one on the watch. When we bring these things out, others, have a closer look at it and say, okay, this is actually a problem and we need to do something. So thank you, Chukwemeka, for raising that. And I think we should put that as part of lesson learned from this section. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll still bring you back for a second to do your final words of greeting. But let me bring Uche. As you wrap up also, there's a question here that I'll need you to also reply. If Uche is here, there's a question I'd like you to respond to. Uche, you are muted. You need to unmute yourself.
Okay, yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so Yopeda says, can speakers highlight do's and don'ts of social media watching from Abuja? So if you could use 30 seconds to just roll out a few do's and don'ts that people need to observe while being safe, and then we can wrap up from here.
Okay, some of the do's of social media is for an organization like Upedia, you need to let people know more about what you do. It's a do, like enlightening the public, have a kind of a social media calendar. In our organization, we have a social media calendar drawn from our social media plan. So as an organization, your contribution towards this human rights issue, you might be doing sexual reproductive health rights, you might be doing GBV and SGBV. So some of the do's is talking about these issues on your social media platforms. And then another do's again is advocating. Continue advocating for human rights generally. Another do's again is that you can support your fellow CSOs. Yes, I like what CSOs do. For instance, now, maybe if Men Engage Nigeria is doing something as Upedia, you can go there, it's a do, you can share it, make it a culture. When you see informative content that can help your public, you share it. There are some opportunities you can also share. Then some of the don'ts generally in social media, or some of the don'ts that people should not do, especially young people. You don't go and violate the privacy of people. Coming outside, you just see people talking about things, about somebody, exposing people's nudes, talking about things, misinforming people, dropping points that you are not sure of. So especially civil society organizations, sometimes when you drop a statistics, try to give credit to who that statistics is coming from. So for instance, I know that statistics are said between 2012 till date, WhatsApp is the highest social media users in Nigeria. They came from WhatsApp. I know now that that statistics is not actually from me. It is coming from a particular organization. So when doing such a thing, you give credit where due. And then another don't again, I think most young people do this. Social media is not a platform for you to just come up on people's comments and begin to build people. I'm not saying that people should not say how they feel, but you see some people, they just come, they begin to build people. People go there, people drop abuses and the rest of them. It's not a time for you to abuse people. It's actually a platform for people to exchange knowledge, exchange what you've gotten. Then some of the don't just give sensitive information to people through social media like that. For instance, now somebody coming to tell you that this is this is that, this is this is that, and you want to answer the person. Somebody said something in one capacity building I went to. He said that there is this thing they call catfish account now. I don't know, maybe you've heard about that, Ambassador, catfish account. For instance, now somebody can just come, open an account and say, this is Uche. And actually, that is not Uche. So that is, you need to verify before giving a vital information to somebody. Just like that. People come in disguise and they do that. They do things that are not supposed to do that. Then social media platform, it's not a place for you to abuse people again. All right, so people are suffering. There are people that are suffering. They've gone through different emotional trauma and the rest. So coming there to come and talk use words that are not meaning, that doesn't speak to people's emotion. It triggers the mental health issue again. For instance, I remembered when somebody posted a picture about a lady dropped a suicide note. I saw something like that on Instagram. She wrote something that she's tired of her life. She wants to end it. And see people there, people were just insulting her. That's not actually what they should do. So I saw that post, and what I just did immediately was I just mentioned the lady's name. I told her that don't worry, don't ignore all these people. People like us, we are here for you to help you. Then I now tagged Mentally Aware NG. Mentally Aware NG is actually a mental an organization that deals with mental health, provide support for people that are going through mental health issues. And I noticed it wasn't up to even 3-4 minutes. They replied the lady and told her that they are in her DM. And I believe she got the support that she actually needed. And then one other good thing about social media that people don't know about is this issue of monetization. You can actually make good money now from social media. Some accounts now can be monetized. So if you don't post those information out there, people won't know what you are doing. People do legit stuffs. Now there are platforms like TikTok. Now you see young people, they are doing different content that are actually educating. So if you have that training, give these young people training so that they can explore this platform and they know the do's and the don'ts. There are some platforms that don't even allow you to use some words like that F word and the rest of them. There are platforms that don't allow you, just as you said. So young people need to utilize this. Now we are in the era of artificial intelligence. You can go for more trainings about these trainings and refreshers on the use of artificial intelligence to draft the right needed content, talk about these things that are happening, the work that you are doing on your platform. Then lastly, I know my organization, we have a particular group that we talk about GBV and SGBV. We call it like a community of practice. So when you are creating groups like that, what you need to do is that you put some restrictions on the group. For instance, the group is a private group. So, and it's a safe space. So people don't abuse the essence of that group. So if you come into that group, if you post anything that is not related to that group, the admin needs to review it before it even goes out. So I think another way we can do that, maybe as CSOs, you can even bring people, put them in a safe space, put restrictions on that group. Anybody that posts what's not supposed to be posted, you remove the person, you flag the person, report all these accounts. I think we can get better than that. And so people need to embrace this learning. There are vast opportunities out there on Zoom trainings online, retraining and retraining. We need to learn, unlearn, and relearn all these things. People, like I said, people make money on social media these days. So there are opportunities abound. So as a man and as a boy, we need to support. We need to lend our voices, use our platform, speak about the different things. I think some days ago, I talked about the fact that a woman kicked a girl she brought from the village recently. She kicked the girl out of a moving tricycle. And the community there, the people around there, they want to lynch. They almost lynched the woman. And these are cases that people need to start talking about it. And they took that woman, they took her to the right authority. So I came out and I told people that you should not practice jungle justice. There are agencies that you can report these cases to. Lastly, organizations, we need to partner. Partnership should not just be on paper. We can partner in the sense that I can help you amplify what you are doing. You might be in Kano, I can be amplifying what your organization is doing for you in Kaduna. Talk about these things, make people know the relevant places they can report cases. NC spoke about the SAC centers. In Kaduna, we have 4 SAC centers. I think we have one in Kafanchang, we have one in Tudunwada, we have one in Kakuri, and we have another one in Zaria. So people need to know that, okay, these people, they are out here to provide the help for you. There is a toll-free helpline you can call. There are people that are here to support you using the social media platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'll bring Lady Evelyn now to wrap up. One final word from you as we wrap up, and then we'll close up the show. But quickly, let me read this message here. Maybe that will also help in both of you wrapping up. This is from Bolahan, and it says, I'm thinking of flooding social media spaces with messages, contents, and videos to create more awareness to users, most especially youth, on all these issues around gender equality and sexual reproductive health and rights. The truth is, We can't hide social media from them, but rather use it to provide more information. Thank you very much, Bolahon. And then just bear with me. Let me quickly read some of the messages as we wrap up. Imelda says, thank you for this great discussion. Men and boys need to be totally involved in ending gender-based violence in Nigeria. Thank you very much. And Ogoma, another time around, says, social media platforms should be utilized for good and not for evil. And then social media is a market. Social media is a marketplace. Mind what you post and share. Very, very truthful contribution. So, Lady Evelyn, what are your last words? Are there anything burning you need to say as well as we wrap up?
Yeah, I just want to wrap up by adding to what Ms. Oguma said. She said we should be mindful of what we post. Social media is a marketplace, yeah. So, and we should also know that the internet never forgets. So, you might think at this early stage of your youthful time, you might want to exhibit your youthful exuberance by, posting news or information that are not relevant, are not true. Later in life, it might call back to you. I know that most organizations now, ask for your social media handles when they want to recruit you for any job or any role. They need to know actually who you are, aside what you've written on paper. So we should be careful what we post online. Even if you are advocating for something, make sure you believe in what you are advocating for. Don't just do it because others are doing. So, and also lastly to what Mr. Aguna has said, yes, that is very, very good commitment that you've made. And I believe that 2024, you really go fully into, bringing that commitment to actualization. So to every other person that have listened to us, we should utilize social media for good. A lot of things, a lot of goodies are actually happening there. And we need to also update ourselves. Let's flow with the technology. Let's flow with the trend. So don't just say that this thing is not for me. It's for everyone. You need to learn. You need to unlearn. Even parenting now on social media, you need to learn all these things because your kids are there. Mr. Uche said you can't hide this, or the people that said we can't hide the social media from these young people. So you as a parent, you need to learn all those things to be able to educate your children, because it's that education you've given them that will also guide them on how they speak, interact, and socialize with people out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Lady Evelyn. And one last word from you, Uche, as we wrap up. 30 seconds.
Okay, I think for me, I will just tell all the men and boys out there, the young people out there, is for every action, there is usually an opposite reaction. So everything you do, it counts. So as a young person, you need to be open to learning. You need to be open to learning, and it's not everything in learning is not all about money. You see, these days you want to train people, you are training them free for resources, and they are still asking you for money. Everything is not money. There are some knowledge that you will get that millions of naira cannot even pay for it. So young people, you need to be open to learning. You need to embrace technology, embrace learning, be willing to learn, be willing to unlearn, be willing to relearn. There are opportunities that are bound for people to learn. Let's embrace it. Let's not say social media is not our thing. It is everybody's business. SRHR is everybody's business, including social media. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks once again to all my guests. Let me quickly read the last three messages here and then we'll close the show. Bolahon says, kudos to the speakers. Thank you. Adibeli says, thanks for the insights. Imelda Ojelo says, kudos to our guest speakers. And then, okay, you sent it twice. Thank you so much for that. It's been a pleasure talking with my guest, and don't forget that today's episode was proudly supported by Sonke Gender Justice and Men Engage, and I had my two very wonderful guests, Lady Evelyn Chioma Joseph. She's the program manager, Society for the Improvement of Rural People, and also Uche Brown Egbe, the Senior Program Officer Communications for EWEI. Thank you all for joining me. And yes, let's do it again next time. The videos are still here. You can share them after the program. You can still keep your comments coming. That will also help us know when to bring our guests back to maybe talk about unfinished angles of the story. And I want to thank you all for joining us. And Babatunde says, thanks, Mr. Gabari, for bringing this. Thank you so much, too. And Ugoma says, great job, guys. Thank you all for joining us. And thanks to everyone who sent in messages. And thanks to our guests again, Lady Evelyn and Mr. Uche. My name is Ambassador Emmanuel Gabari, urging you all to have a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday. And remember, social media doesn't forget. So be wary, be cautious of what you post. And if you are being stalked, you have a right to also report. There's a red button. You can use that button to just end that. On this note, I want to say thank you all and have a beautiful, beautiful day till we see you again soon. God bless all of you and bye-bye.